Hello, Flosstube. Welcome back. I'm the Golden Goose Stitcher. My name is Teresa. This is Flosstube number 5. I don't know what day it is. I know it's still November. So I've been noticing when I watch Flosstubes, a lot of people have the date. I'm sorry. It's the last Tuesday. The 29th, 30th. December will be here this week, but I don't know what. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for subscribing. Holy moly. Thank you so much. I am flattered and humbled and very grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. I know that Gammy Stitches, she shouted me out. Thank you so much. I went and watched her video. She was very sweet. And she includes reading in hers, which I should read books again. I used to read a lot of books like in my hand, and I miss that. You know what I mean? So now I either listen to audiobooks while I stitch or sew or something else. And when I'm busy, but I miss reading. And also, the Fanciful Flamingo mentioned me when she was talking about watching Flosstube and being made to buy things. I didn't make her to buy stuff, but in her queue, the Lord had sent her something she needed. So thanks for. Also, I have been watching the Fanciful Flamingo, and she's amazing and hilarious, and I love her. And I hope I could just sit next to you, Alicia. Can I sit next to you at the Jingle Ball? Please save me a seat. Anyway, I am going to the Jingle Ball this weekend, even though I'm also going on a trip, but I'll talk about that later. So thank you very much for coming back. I don't know what to say. I'm literally flabbergasted. So I'm going to talk to you about my whips. I was actually very busy last weekend, not stitching. And so I only stitched on one thing until yesterday or Sunday night, and I finished it. So then I had to figure out something else to stitch. And so I only have 2 whips that I actively worked on this week after the finish I have. And one was my Wordplay Wednesday. Now, I did not stitch this on Wednesday because I forgot it was Wednesday. And I just stitched and stitched and stitched on my Joy and Good Cheer. Joy and Good Cheer. And then I realized it was Wednesday. And I texted the people. Now, I don't know if anybody else even mentioned it was Wednesday. I texted my good friend Kristen, and she was like, oh, dang. And I was like, it's too late now. But so Sunday night, I picked this up because I was just without anything to stitch. So I picked this up because I thought it was sad that it didn't get any attention on Wednesday. It gets one more Wednesday this month, right? Tomorrow's the last day. And so I'll stitch a little bit on it. I do like having so many more places to like work off of. So hopefully I'll finish Pilgrim and maybe give things. I was noticing, okay, a long time ago when I was talking about the color conversion I used, well, I copied it off of, I said the wrong person. I think I mentioned Penny's daughter Stitches, which I do love her. And I think she stitched the Joy and Good Cheer, I think. But I was talking about Susie Stitches, but it has like extra Z's and E's. Susie. I get confused, okay? So that's who I follow on Instagram. And I used her, like, basically I have screenshots of all of her wordplays. And I try to match my colors. It's a compliment, okay? It's not theft. Then my other whip, I've been working on this yesterday and today because we had school. Last week we didn't have school. Maybe that was why I was all off, because we didn't have any school. And I cleaned a bunch of my house. And then I had to cook a lot. And then I don't know what else I did, you guys. But I didn't stitch on this because we didn't have school. So I've been working on the January just yesterday and today. And I got a little bit done. I still can't find my floss for their faces. Ding nabbit. But I'm at a point where like I really like stitching it. Like I was like, I don't know, you need to find something else to do. We're not done with school yet. Because I just wanted to get that roof framed out. I got those trees stitched. I'm loving it. And I also like the fact that I have next month to stitch on it during school too. So maybe by January I'll have it done. In January I can stitch February. And in February I can stitch March. I don't know. I'm hoping that I'll have some stuff done. So those are my whips that I worked on this week. And I have an FFO. Hold on to yourself. Can you even believe it? It wasn't a flurry, but I feel like it was a big accomplishment because I finally went and watched Vonna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitchers pillow tutorial. Amazing. Amazing. And I gave it a whirl. Now, I would say I have a lot to learn and a lot of practice to put in to make mine. And I was thinking about it. I watched her video and when she was turning corners, she said, if your corners aren't pointy, it makes me nervous. And I was, I was stuffing my corners and I was like, these would make Vonna very nervous, but I did my best. This was part of the sale. I just couldn't stop stitching it last week. And sorry about the glare. I'm not taking anything out of packages today. So I stitched on it and I just couldn't stop. Also, if you are a perfectionist, Holly, or anyone else, avert your eyes because I made mistakes and I went with it. Because I am not a perfectionist. It doesn't steal my joy. But anyway, I finished it. I'm not going to point out my mistake. I think it's very important that we give ourselves some grace and not point out our mistakes. I did love stitching this. Love it. Love it. And then I finished it with fabric. All of my Christmas quilts, I didn't put my set back. My set. It's my sewing room. I didn't put the quilt back because it's a pain in the booty to get those magnets on there just right. I need to get a clip or something. So I'm working, this is the Christmas quilt I've been working on. I always use basic gray fabrics for my Christmas quilts. I have 4 on my sofa. And then I have 1 hanging in my dining room, like a little, the Lori Holt one. And then, so anyway, so I have a ton of, that's what I use was basic gray. And I don't know which one. And listen, I would like to say I consider my binding stitching by hand to be quite nice. I feel like I've put a number of hours in and I'm pleased with the way my little stitches look. This is a Hot Mess Express. So, anyway, it's an FFO. Are you cheering? I am cheering. Anyway, that's all I had. So then I thought, okay, Teresa, you have a gap. You should do a whip parade. So buckle up. If you gotta go potty, you might want to pause it. I'm just kidding. I only have 36. So, well, I'm only counting 30. And so while I was pulling out whips for my December WIPGO, and I'll talk about them next week when it's actually December, because right now I don't have to worry about them. But I was pulling out whips for my December WIPGO, and I thought, I should take an inventory because it doesn't seem like these whips are going down in this bin under my bed. Seems like every time I open this thing, there's more and more. Hold on. Just a second. So sorry. Did you see my finger? I had an alert. It was to water the chickens. So sorry. My apologies. I wonder what would have happened if I just ignored it. Could I have edited that out? Anywho. So under the bed, the projects don't seem to be decreasing, even though I'm meeting a lot of WIPGO goals. So I thought I should take an inventory, figure out what in the same hell is going on down there, and plan my WIPGO for 2023, and also figure out what I'm going to do for March Madness. And we're going to talk about that later in a bit. But so here's one of my whips. I started this at the retreat in Davison, the Stitches and Things retreat in October. I just got a little bit done. Just a little bit of that turkey. And I do love him. I'm going to go pretty fast because we don't need... This is my turkey tavern. Listen, you see that house and how it's framed out in blue? I had to use a DMC conversion. The DMC conversion is straight up gray. But I do like it, so I'm not going to try to mess with it. That was some sort of fancy floss, and I wasn't doing that. Just have a little bit. I also started that, and I haven't worked on it since. I was hoping I might work on it last week when we head off, but I didn't. This is Autumn Rules by Primrose Cottage. I started this at StitchCon with my friend Megan. She suggested that we start a sale at the retreat, so we'd always remember that we went to StitchCon together. And hers is finished and mine is not. Also, when I was going through my whips to count them up, tally them up, figure out what was going on WIPGO, I reclaimed a lot of needles. Oh, anyway, here's my autumn rose. I think this is on 16 count that iCoffee tea dyed. Also, there's a wonderful viewer I homesteading on the home front. Was that right? Anyway, she was in my comments, and she was telling me not to use coffee tea dye on any heirloom pieces. I don't think that anything I do is considered heirloom. If I'm about to do something that's heirloom quality, let me know. But I'll keep that in mind. And I think I understand why. But anyway, so this is coffee tea dyed. I'm pretty sure it was on 16 count. She and I had decided to do this like days before it happened. So I was like printing it off and finding a hunk of fabric right before we went. But I only have a couple left. I think pumpkin pie, go on a hayride, and pumpkin pie. That's it. So I'm excited to put that in. Here are some of my prairie schoolers, or one of them. I think there's two. I found a few actually. September. I started this during school during school. When we started in September, I got quite a bit done, and this is a fun stitch. I find that I get a lot more done when I start at the top, but I don't know why that is. That's not going on my WIPGO. I'm going to put that right back in my schooler during school rotation because he's a freshman, so I have a couple years. I'm just going to take it slow. This is my flea market basket. I do think that I bumbled talking about this a couple of Flosstubes ago. I was talking about this and that Barn Sweet Barn Center that Back Quarter Shop was. They supplied different floss conversions for each month. I have been doing that mostly, like maybe 2/3 of the way through. And I have a little thing next to my coffee maker where that little Barn Sweet Barn is. It's very cute. I'll show it sometime. Don't hold your breath, okay? This is the heck? I think it goes this way. This is some stiff stuff. I don't know where I got this. It looks, I think it's an 18 count, but it is stiff as heck. And maybe because all the other 18 counts I usually use have been dyed in some way, so maybe they're softer. I started this in January, and I got through. This was probably January, and this was probably February. The churn dashes around it, and then I quickly fell down. I have figured out something about myself, and I don't think it's wrong to realize stuff about yourself, possibly defects. I am really good at starting things and like following along, like, ooh, January, December, yeah. And then when spring comes, when it's gardening season, everything falls by the wayside. So you'll see when I tell you about my March Madness plans. Here's another example. My Vintage Housewives. This was another thing, I believe it started in January or February. Vintage Housewives by Lori Holt. Fat Quarter Shop was doing a sale. Again, did really well. And then gardening. Is this May's? This is probably May's, like the apron. I think 1 month was supposed to be just the apron. So if it was January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. I don't know exactly. But I bet you that was May's. And that's why I got part of it done and then stopped. Because once the garden's ready, I don't do so good. Here's another one. The 5th in this series. I actually don't know what month this came out. I signed up for this where they automatically sent it to you. The club. And I did pretty well. I got 4 of them in a row. But I actually ended up keeping this in my car. Do you have an ABC project? I don't have one in there right now, which I've regretted like 3 times this month. But I like to keep an ABC project in my car. Always bring cross stitch. So that when you're sitting around and waiting, you have something to stitch. So this is the next one in this series that I have to do. There's a little bit of a whip on it. I don't know. I do know, I think I finished 2 of those while sitting in the car when my son played baseball. The year that we came back to Michigan, my son had not played baseball in a hot minute. Like, okay. He played t-ball, and then he played not this summer, but the summer before. There's a big gap there. He did pretty well, actually. It wasn't embarrassing, to be honest. But I did spend quite a bit of time stitching in the car. and during practices and stuff. And so that's where that came from. Oh, here's one of those Barn Sweet Barn centers. I think this is probably June's or May. One of the two. It looks like June to me. The citrusy feel. I'm not sure. And then when I remember how I just like to stitch along with other people even if they didn't ask. Okay, I was sitting next to Lisa, my new friend Lisa. I met her at the cross. Hold on. Stitching with the Housewives retreat in July, and she was stitching on this. The Farms of Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. And I was watching her and I was like, I want it. So I think I was sat there and I ordered it. I'm actually doing this format. I like it a lot better. Lisa, she must be doing the other form because she's doing the chickens, which I thought was very interesting. Because as she went, like, you'd see more and more. I'm starting with the sheep. Sheep Sharing Thursday. And I'll show you my progress. And I did put this on my WIPGO, and I'll talk about it later. But I'm hoping to put this in, like, some sort of regular rotation. So I got a little bit done. Just a little bit. This is some really pretty fabric. Can we talk about this? I don't know what this is. This is probably either Grace Notes or something. I'll give you more specifics on it whenever it gets pulled for WIPGO or whatever. But my fabric bin is a mess, so I didn't even attempt to pull out what I was going to be talking about. This is the Woolly Ooh. It doesn't have a title on it. Is it in fact called this October 31st? I kind of think it might be. I had showed this in my first Flosstube because it was my Halloween start, just that little bit. And then, what? I think that Alicia had said from the Fancy Full Flamingo. She said the albatross, when she has a product she doesn't like, she calls it the albatross around her neck. I've never really heard of that. Is that a regional thing to Floridans? I don't know. I hate this project. I love it. I gotta stitch it. I hate it. I hate when it gets called. I started this in Mania of 2021, I think. And basically, I can only get like a letter done before I have to stop. It drives me nuts. There's so many color changes. And part of me wonders if someone has not mastered just simplifying the colors of those Cricut collections, because, you know, some of us can't stand that crap. I love this pattern so much. So like I did the S during Mania, and then it got called for WIPGO. I think I stitched the S for Mania of 2021, and I stitched the U on Mania of 2022, and then it got called for WIPGO, and I did the M in part of that thing. And boy, I just, it drives me nuts. Have you simplified the colors on these? Please, I'll take advice. Thank you so much. I would like some, please, advice. Do you just pick one blue and just replace the 5 other blues with one blue? Because I could dig that idea. My next WIP is October Prairie Schooler, just like the other one. I'm not going to put this in my WIPGO or anything. I'm going to go back into my Schooler during school. I did not get much done in October. Like, seriously, what was I doing? I couldn't tell you. It didn't get stitched, though. I know that. My next one, hold on one second. Totally dropped this. Is StitchCon 2022. I started this whatever day everybody else started it, but I literally only put like a handful of stitches in. This is what I believe Megan found me this fabric in one of the bins at StitchCon. It's a 20 or 22 count Ada. I can't remember. So I stitch in hand, and I love it. And I don't even care that it doesn't look as beautiful as other people's stuff. But when I was stitching this on this little tiny count, it seemed like the stitches were like sliding in between the weave of the fabric. Like I would make my stitch and then like I don't know. So I ended up getting out my Q-Step because I own one. And I do like the way they look now. I love how petite and little they are. I'm pretty sure this is one strand, and so someday. This was Mania 20, I think it was 2022. So this is Carriage House Samplings, the chicken feed sack. And since it was a Mania start, I'm sure I just stitched on it for a little bit. I think this was it was upside down. This is all I got. If you reference, it really isn't much. Oofty. The next whip is the May House, the Cottage of the Month. I started this when Pam had her birth. She started this for her birthday. It was a Sal, and best of intentions. Here's my May House. I do love it. I think I have July, August, and September done. Oh, in October. Okay, well, four is not bad. But anyway, and then I fell right off that bandwagon, and you sure can see my traveling stitch right back there. Woof. Oopsie poopsie. But I think it'll be fine. And I don't hate this. I really do like it. I was stuck on the September color. The house was weird. I didn't love my house, but then I just kept at it, and it did turn out okay. And then here's another Prairie Schooler. This one's April. I don't remember. Oh, I do remember when I started this. I'm pretty sure I started this at the spring Camp Stitch a Lot that Stitches and Things hosted in the spring in April. And I remember stitching a bunch and then having to go up to my room and undo it because I can't talk and count. And so it's best to have fill in. But I do love the bottom of that. I think it's pretty. I got the rabbit at the top. So this is going to go in my schooler during school. And then, did you do the 12 by 12 last year on New Year's? Pam and Kia B did a 12 by 12 New Year's Eve start thing. And I wanted to do it so bad. And I don't have the pattern to show you. But I decided to do the Silo Barn. It's the Silo something barn. And it's a Lori Holt pattern. And the Fat Quarter Shop was having a sew along. And someone, instead of sewing one with a different barn for every month, they stitched one barn. And they made the insert for the barn so that you could just change that out with like a magnetic thing. So I got this much of the barn done. So you start a new project every hour. And it worked out real good. You're supposed to do 12 from noon to midnight. Is that right? Yeah. And I started out real good. And then we had company. I should have thought about that. But so I did that one, and then I did a snowman. This will be January. This is some sort of heart block. This will be February. This is like a pinwheel thing that was in greens. That was supposed to be for March. And there's a watering can for May. No, I don't know. I don't know, you guys. It might go this way. So April, May, June, July. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. So January is a snowman. This will be a heart thingy. This is a whirligig for March. The chick for April. Flower basket for May. Watering can for June. And then this is the bottom of the flag for July. And then my company came over and we had a delicious meal. And we played games. And I forgot all about it. Best of intentions. My cousin already asked me if we could do another one this year, and I already said yes. So I make this very nice brisket. It's a brisket, which is, like $1 million. It's like the most expensive meal we have all year. And then, anyway, message me if you want a recipe. It's probably on my Instagram. My next whip is this series. This is the March. I have stitched a lot of these. I have a couple of gaps. Probably I have no idea. March, I think April is not done, and I think that there's another one. I couldn't tell you exactly, but this one's a March. I got some of it done. I don't mind it. I think it's cute. Do you know what my problem is? And I found this because a couple of these were on my WIPGO last in 2022. Repeating the designs is hard. So after the house, there'll be another thing of clovers, and then another 2 leprechauns, and then another thing of branch of flowers. And I need, like, I can't sit and do all of it. So like I could do this in one day, I could do this in one day, and then this in like the top in one day. But otherwise my attention span, and I have a good attention span, but I couldn't repeat it. And then another whip. Oh, is this April? May. My bad. So maybe I didn't even do April. Could be. Because this series was going on the year that we moved home. And so we left South Dakota like March 31st. I think my husband left on April 1st. Because we, just the way everything happened. Anyway, so I got a little bit done. Again, I get this done, I need a break. Or a day or 2 or something else to stitch. So I have hopes that these guys will make it on WIPGO this year. This has been on my WIPGO. This has been on my Mania every year. And then it was on my WIPGO last year. And I love it so much. It's not like I don't want to stitch it. I want to stitch it. But it's been on my Mania 3 years in a row. And then it made it on my WIPGO. I don't know. And also, let's not talk about this little tiny margin over here that I have to finish it. Let's leave that problem for another day. Why borrow trouble? It'll just be waiting for me. I think during my WIPGO, when it got called for WIPGO, I think I did the whole flag and then started this. And I think my 2 previous Manias, I'd only ever got this done. So it did see some work this year. But I know my defect when it comes to Mania. I'm going to explain it when I talk about my plans. This is May, Prayer Schooler. And, oh, did I flash it? Oof, you gotta watch out for that back of the Prayer Schoolers. This, here you go. This was a Mania start last year. Or maybe the year before. Heck if I know. My next one is Just My Type. This was on my WIPGO this past year. I remember when this Stitch Along started, and I was like, yeah, I love it. I don't have anything for Valentine's Day. I stitched that typewriter. It took me like 24 hours because I did a 24 hours of cross stitch weekend. Sometimes I do this on my own, you guys. Sometimes I'll just be like, ooh, nothing's going on this weekend. Marathon where I avoid all housework and cooking chores and just stitch. And then I complain about how achy I am for Monday and Tuesday. Anyway, so that typewriter is no joke. And so then it got called for WIPGO, and I got like these heart stitched and then up to this. So that's not bad. Just take another WIPGO. So 3 more years, you guys. It's not a race. This was something I stitched in September, I think. Katie from Naptime Stitcher, she was going to do this for her birthday, and she asked if anybody wanted a Sal, and I was like, I love a Sal, yes. I'll do Sal. And I actually don't even know if she ended up stitching it herself, but I got a good start. It's pretty cute. I have not done any of these tarts. Is there a whole series I should investigate? Perhaps. Anyway, maybe I'll wait and work on that on my birthday, because it's a birthday. Nextly, Little House Needleworks. The rooster and the hen. Super cute. And this was like the first thing I tried stitching on a 28 count. And I think this is called Lugana. And I really, really like it. I love the colors of it. These are all just DMCs, whatever the DMC conversion was. I love it so much. So much that I own 2 of the patterns. So that's good. I had a hard time before I got the X-Stitch app. I kept complaining, and somebody, I think it was Cassie Jo. Do you follow her? Cassie Jo Stitches? Cassie Jo Sews? Something like that. She has a Flosstube. I keep trying to peer pressure to pick it back up, but her work schedule doesn't make it feasible. but I could just, more pressure will be applied. I like to see what she's stitching. She stitches the most beautiful things, so I just like to be informed of what you're doing, Cassie. But anyway, so she kept talking about the X-Stitch app. I think it was her. And she uses all sorts of things to be helpful. Like she has one of those things where she can like transfer her patterns to her iPad and then stitch and zoom in. And I'm like, no, I'll just highlight it. I'll just be over here cussing, frogging, and highlighting my stuff. This one. I want to stitch this. I do believe that's been on 2 Mania calendars. And this is, and a WIPGO. And a WIPGO call. This is it, guys. One day. Oh boy. Oh, my next one is something I started this summer. It's called the Tomato Time Needle Book. Isn't that adorable? I thought it was. I don't have much done. I have a little bit. So I have a little bit stitched. My goodness. Gracious. I have this little bit done. Hardly. This is probably something this is probably either 16 or 18 count that I coffee tea dyed. I do love that variegation. And then I started this. I don't have a picture of it, but you can go to Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. One of the two. Her name is Melissa. She has a wonderful blog. It's at Blogspot. No, is it at Blogspot? I don't know. Just search it. Or find her on Instagram because she has lots of links on her Instagram. Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. Did I mention the quilting part? Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. Oh my goodness. Anywho, in Sunflower September, I decided to stitch something sunflowery. And I started this one. It's the salt box, the sunflower salt box or something like that. Sunflower Man or something. I don't know, you guys. Go search her salt boxes. They're all good. But I did this and I thought I would get like the whole thing done. But listen, that is a whole skein of green. That was a lot of stitches, like a lot. And so, you know, it is what it is. It was no joke. I'll be paying attention to that when I pick those salt block patterns. Most of them don't have like the full grass filled in, so it's just a fluke. I do love it though. I like to pet it because the texture, you know. Anyway, and then this one. I don't know exactly how I feel about this. I don't remember if this was like a Stitchtober thing. Could have been. I'm going to have to take a drink. I'm not used to talking. I started this on coffee tea night because I do not love stitching on black. And then I didn't think to change the color. No, I think maybe I saw somebody else change the colors after I had stitched it white. And so I outlined it and I do like the way it looks, even though it, you know, so I just need to pick this back up and go forward. I think that was the only conflict I was really going to have. Maybe I was going to change the color of the house and do the stems of the sunflowers in, you know, brown or green or whatever. So, but it hasn't got much attention. I don't remember when I started it, but I found it in the box. And this one, America the Beautiful. I do really, really love this. I did not stitch it on black because, like I said, I do not love it. Although, do you stitch on black stuff and have trouble and complain to your friends? Because I do. And then my friend Karen, who I met at the Stitching with the Housewives retreat, and I think I'll see her in January at Situate. She told me to get a ball-tipped needle, and I don't even know if that's exactly what it's called, but it is a ball-tipped needle, and that way otherwise the needle works exactly the same, but it will like meet the hole and like find itself in the hole. And she was right, it did work. I think she probably heard me complain about it like 4 times before she suggested it, which means she has a lot of restraint. But she did suggest that, and I do find myself preferring, although you know what the best way to stitch black is outside in the sunlight in summer. So pretty much I'm not stitching on anything that's on black until the summertime when I can have natural light. This is my America the Beautiful. So I stitched it on coffee tea night. I switched out the wording into to a nice navy. And then I have made a lot of accomplishment. I think this was 2 manias and then a WIPGO. And I do like it very much. And I think I only have like some of these, like these flowers left in the flower stems. So it's always a fun trick when you leave those to last to see if they match up correctly. Love a challenge. But so those are my whips, and several of those are going to go onto my WIPGO. Not the Prairie Schoolers. And I think that last year, most of the time, I put 10 days or a finish. And 10 days would be an hour of stitching on it. Like, you picked it up, you sat down for an hour, and you at least put some stitches in it. This year, I think because I know how I feel stitching stuff, especially whips. I think I'm going to do 5 days or a finish, or specifically like those little sampler of the months, the March and the April, May. Was it May? I'm going to put a finish on there because I know I can finish them. And so I'm going to be more specific with my goals and more intentional about it. But I am going to shorten my goal on some of them. Like, I know that I don't know. Like, if it's 5 days and I have 2 WIPGOs that each take 5 days, that gives me more time to do those monthly series that I want to do. And maybe less of them will turn into a whip that'll end up on WIPGO because I gave myself more days aside from WIPGO to stitch on things. So that would be the most ideal part. But so I'm hoping to create less whips by giving myself more days to stitch on them. Does that make sense? So that's my whip parade. I counted up, I think there was 30, and then I have 6 of my word plays are incomplete. So they're technically whips, so that would technically be 36. But I'm going to keep doing Wordplay Wednesday. So, and I think I have a feeling that several of them, most of them should be finished in like one more rotation. So 2 years to finish a whole series. That's fine. I have other stuff to do. And people are always like, feed me and are my clothes clean? And then I have to stop and do domestic chores. So that's a thing around here. So my whips, my fully finished, my whip parade, I have haul. And I didn't until Saturday. And I was literally thinking, man, I'm not going to have anything to talk about. And then we had to go down to the city. Well, we had to go down to Canton, Michigan, which was like an hour and something for us to drive down. And on the way home, we passed right by Stitchins and Things. So we stopped. And my husband, who works nights, I had picked him up at the airport. He jumped in the car. We drove to the game. We watched the game. And then he slept on the car ride home because we had to go back to the airport, pick up his car. But so I got to go in and look at Stitches and Things. And nobody even bothered me because my husband was in the car sleeping because he's a night shifter. He said he slept hard. And then I don't know what my son was doing. He was probably on his phone or something. But so I did some damage. It was small business Saturday, and I wanted to do my part. So I didn't take anything out of the plastic because, listen, I didn't have time. Okay, so sorry. There'll be glares, and I can't help it. I went looking for this, the JBW, Over the Hills We Go, and I saw Annie, the proper stitcher, was stitching. She has a bunch of these stitched, and they're so beautiful. So beautiful. So I bought a couple more. I bought this one. Be Merry. And a Scandinavian Christmas. Love them very much. And I'm excited. I kind of thought that they would be like the price of a leaflet, but they're the price of a regular pattern. I want to show you something without showing you the pattern. Look at that blue version. I'm thinking about it because really, I do like having stuff out in wintertime, and there's nothing really overly Christmassy about it. I mean, it's deer, which you could assume were reindeer, but they could just be deer. And then it could be out all winter long. I don't know. And if you stitch it in blue, I might still stitch it in red. I also bought these, the Bent Creek Snapper series. So Best Day Winter. This is spring, summer, and fall. And then there's a part in the middle that I totally didn't pick up. And like the suggestion, I don't know if you can see it very well, is to stitch them together. And the center part there says, write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. And so you're supposed to stitch them together. But I just bought the little series. I could stitch them separate. Who cares? I thought those were cute. And then, oh my gosh, talking about geese. Look what I found. It's a goose thread keeper by Stitchin' Wood. I don't know if that's what it's called. Stitchin' Wood, cute kits for joyful moments. Goose thread keeper, Rami's creation. And there's quite a bit. I don't know who is that? What language is that? No say. I don't know. Maybe it probably says in the inside, but I didn't open it up. And it comes with a little wooden goose. Isn't that adorable? I think I definitely needed that. So I just bought it. It was on sale. Oh, and then I also bought the JVW booklet of ornaments. And this is like the fourth one. This is the third one. Fourth one. And then I was watching, I've been watching Sweetwater Stitcher. Is her name Jessica? I think it is. And I was starting at okay, I usually watch the most recent Flosstube, and then I go back and watch from the beginning. And sometimes, depending on how many they have, I might skip the most recent one and just go to the beginning. So sometimes I mention people, but don't talk about what's going on recently, because I'm not there yet. Don't ruin the ending for me. Or like the middle. Anyway. But she was stitching, it must have been last spring. She was stitching a bunch of St. Patrick's Day. And I have 0 St. Patrick's Day. And so I had a bunch in my cart while I was watching her. I was just stopping, adding things to my Etsy cart. And then I found some in my L&S. And then I found some online. Well, I discovered Salt.pepper.stitching. Okay, hold on. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I got this one, St. Patrick's Day, Holiday Hoopla. And then I got Oh Lucky Day. I love these. I think I want to stitch all 3, please. They're by Brenda Gervais. And then I got the Primrose, Luck of the Irish. There was one more, I think that was Primrose that Sweetwater had that I need to order because they didn't have it in the store. Look what I got. I got 2 skein. Okay, she had 2, a Bayberry. And so I got the both because, you know how I'm concerned about my floss on that old Christmas tree. I also bought a needle minder. Can you see that? It says Merry Christmas. I thought it was really cute. It's like a bottle cap. It's like My Big Toe design. Let me take it out of the package. Hold on. Every time I go to the annex there, I'm gonna have to rip it, you guys. Hold on. So sorry. My Big Toe design. Is that cute? I like it. I got that. Do you guys ever watch Eleanor Burns? She's a quilter. Have you ever seen her? She's on PBS. And when she trims something and she's done with it, she just throws it over her shoulder. See that? Sometimes I feel like I'm doing that. Just throwing it back. I also got 2 packs of needles. And then when I went through my WIP under the bed storage, I reclaimed all the needles. And so, I mean, it's good to have extra, but technically I found a plethora. Like, really, there was a lot. I also bought this Prairie Schooler Christmas Traditions. The chart in the back, Teresa. Be careful. I do like that. These are very flimsy. Who's reprinting them? I just want to know. And then this one. Christmas Samplers 2. I love it. And then I got the Just Cross Stitch magazine. Is this is December. There's a separate one that's just for ornaments. Yeah, I think so. Festive Stitching. And then I got the Punch Needle and Primitive. And then I ordered a pattern, and I didn't print out the front page. It's a PDF. But have you found Salt.pepper.stitching on Etsy? Her actual name is Emily Call. She has an Etsy shop full of patterns that are hers, and I love it. I love a lot of it. But I'm gonna go for this series. I'm gonna attack this series. So I printed this off on one of those little sprockets, and I'm gonna attach it to my project bags, and then I'll put it in my journal. I saw Fanciful Flamingo was doing that. Good idea. I like it a lot. I think that Stitching with Grammy puts them on a tag on her project bag, and then I saw that somebody else was putting them in their thing in their journal after they're done. So I'm going to do that. But I didn't print off the cover page because remember I told you homeschoolers have troubles keeping ink, so I wasn't going to print off a picture if I could avoid it. But I printed off the PDF pattern and I kitted it up. I'm going to use a 16 count. Because, oopsie. It's going to be pretty much the same size. She stitched hers on 32 count. And then I pulled some floss. I'm using coloring cotton and then 1 DMC. So I'm using Hollyberry, Forest. I have 2 skeins of Forest and they both look completely different. I'm going to use, oh yeah, Bombay. That's the color that boot was made out of. Isn't that pretty though? And then this is DMC 3817. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to use Tusk by Coloring Cotton for the, I think that in the pattern, her snowflakes are in like a gray color, but I really like I just want my white to stand out okay. So I'm going to do it. So I'm going to start this at the Jingle Ball. Are you going to the Jingle Ball? I'm going to start this at the Jingle Ball. I asked a couple of my friends if they wanted to stitch this with me. I was like, hey, you want to Sal? And they were like, yeah. And then I was like, well, okay, what? I'm going to start it this Friday night, okay? Because I really want to start it. So I'm going to start this at the Jingle Ball. If you want to Sal along with me, get your PDF and meet me there. I watched the video where everything is explained, and I was like, oh, okay. So there'll be separate Zoom rooms. So I don't know what Zoom room I'll be in. I don't know. Just have to find one. So anyway, I kitted that up, and that was part of my haul. And then I also have ready to go my for my 25 days of Christmas. I picked out a 16 count. Was it a 16? 18 count for my ornaments series that I'm going to do. And I also, I didn't kit it up otherwise. I have a box that I just keep my Christmas threads in. They go with my Christmas decor and my Christmas vibe. And so I also think this is half of the thread. At one point, I have the Hometown Holiday series from Little House Needleworks or Country Cottage Needleworks. I have a whole box. I have a project bag with all of the ornaments, and I don't know where they are. They used to be in my living room, and for a while I was stitching one a month. I think I have 4 of them done. Only one is FFO'd. But anyway, so I have this box where I keep all of the threads that are, or the floss that is called for in those patterns, and then I borrow from it. And then I don't put it back. So that's a problem. So I have that ready to go for Thursday. Friday, I'm going to stay up as long as I can. Because Friday, the Jingle Ball starts. I'm going to take a nap. And then I'll go to the Jingle Ball. And I'm going to stitch. And then our flight leaves at 7 something. So my husband said we had to leave for the airport at 5:30. So that's gross. But so I'm going to stay up and stitch as long as I can. And then once we get to Florida, I'll rejoin the Jingle Ball and keep stitching. So I'll hope to see you there. But I wanted to tell you about my March Madness, because if you notice how many things I told you were come from Mania, I love the challenge of starting something new every day. Like having just a rash of new beginnings. That's great. But as soon as the garden is available, I quickly just fall right off track. Like, once I can go out and play in the dirt, I just can't do it. I can't sit down and stitch and do like sedentary things when I could be digging up stuff and planting stuff. So, there's a woman on Flosstube. Her channel is called Handwork Maniac. Her name is Brenda. And I saw her pre-March Madness post must have been in March or February, because she was preparing, and she is organized. So she brings out this big old chart. It's like the whole screen. And so she has a calendar, and like, you know how a lot of people will keep the project in Mania until it's finished. So if you start something in Mania on the 3rd of May, the next year on the 3rd of May, you should work on that project until it's finished, and then you can put a new project in. That's a personal challenge and rules. I like it. And so I wanted to do that, and I have been doing that, except for like the month really falls off. So I was watching her, and she says she does March Madness instead, because I think she works in a school, and it's too busy. May is too busy a time for the school at her work, and so she does March instead. And so I know other people do March Madness where they have brackets and they have like voting or whatever. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to move my Mania to March, and I'm going to call it Madness, because by the time March comes, we get a couple of good days of weather, I'm going mad, and I want to go out and garden, but I shouldn't yet, because there will be regrets if I do. So I thought that would be a great compromise to put my Mania in March, when I really am going crazy in the house, cooped up, ready for spring. So that's what I'm going to do this year. So I'm going to basically just move my Mania progress. I do have a couple projects that, I think there's 5 or so. I don't know. So I planned out, I took those WIPs when I took inventory of them. I put them on the day of March that they'll be assigned until they're completed. That poor summer, Cricut Collection summer. Let's see how many March Madnesses it goes through. Been through two Manias, so. I have the whole series, you guys. I bought them before I even stitched one, and now I just have this looming collection of Cricut Collection that I gotta figure out something with those color changes, because it's stealing my joy, and it shouldn't, right? So I think that's it. I am going to have a giveaway, because I told you that, and I don't know where it is. I'm going to have a giveaway because I just want to say thank you. And also, like, maybe whoever wins it wants to stitch with me. But because I bought 2 roosters and hen, the pattern, it's right here. This one. If you want to stitch this with me, and you could definitely beat me. Here it is. I have 2 little house needlework, so I'm going to pass on my extra. Now I have cross X stitch, so this shouldn't happen very often, but I wanted to do a giveaway. So if you are interested in winning this, if you don't already own it, or if you just want it, somehow comment with the word rooster. You have to be a subscriber. And I think you also have to be 18, and you shouldn't say giveaway. Otherwise, there could be like weird comments. So just somehow in the comments, work the word rooster in. Did you know the name of my rooster? My rooster's name was Coco. I got a rooster last winter from a friend, and he had been a preschool like chick pet project. And then the teacher lived in a neighborhood where you could have chickens, but you can't have a rooster. You're too close to neighbors. And so they quickly had to get rid of this rooster. And so he was super tame because he was used to preschoolers handling him. And he also really likes my girls because egg production went right up. And he's a good rooster. We don't have any problems with him. And his name is Coco. So anyway, I'm assuming, I don't know why. Was it the name for Moana? What was that rooster's name? That was the rooster's name, was something else. Anyway, so if you want to be entered in the giveaway, work the word rooster in. Good luck. If you're still here, my gosh, so sorry. And thank you again. And thank you so much. And don't forget, you can find me on Instagram. My name is Teresa McMath01. I was also thinking, I've been saying 01 because, I don't know. But it's 01, by the way. Teresa McMahon 01. So you can find me on Instagram. And I won't be back next week because I'll be in Florida. And I'm just not gonna. I have troubles enough, okay? So, oh, but after this video, I'm going to try to include a video of my previously stitched, my first year of stitched ornaments. They came from a magazine that my mother-in-law gave me from 1983. And actually, I think she lent it to me. I intend to give it back once I'm done stitching it, but also she doesn't seem to be stitching on it. So, but it was from 1983. I stitched a whole series of them. I think I did it in Jolly July. And I finished them on canning rings. I spray painted them white, and then I finished them. So I made a cute little video, and I'll attach it. But I'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy stitching, friends. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching.